as you know, 19 schools in Kentucky were labeled today as persistently low achieving schools. What does that mean for Jefferson County? For Jefferson County, that meant that 5 schools were given the designation of persistently low achieving schools. Those are now our cohort 3 schools. But what I want to do is remind you that a year ago, 7 of our schools were also labeled persistently low achieving schools, and we consider those to be cohort 2 schools. So this last year, and remember the designation is based on last year's results. So last year was the planning year for cohort 2 schools. On this chart, the green indicates improvement in reading and math. So it indicates that last year's PLA schools, that again were just in their planning year, actually improved in reading and math. For example, Fairdale High School improved by 20.3 percentage points. So I just want to put in context where we are and where we've been with PLA schools. Then if you take yourself back 2 years ago from now, our first cohort of schools were named. So there were 6 schools named persistently low achieving. So they actually last year were in their first full year of a PLA model, intervention model. So this 10-11 school year, which is what this designation is based on, they were in their first year. But what I want you to note, that even from the planning year, they had increases. Many of these schools had increases in reading and math. And when you look at their increases after their first full year working as a designated PLA school, you can see the increases. And they go from 21.3 percentage points, for example, at the Academy at Shawnee, to 11.2 at Western, 29, or Western High School 29, Western Middle 11. So again, what I want to do is put that we've had 5 schools labeled as PLA schools today, but they join 13 other schools in Jefferson County that principals and teachers have been working very, very hard at. And this chart actually shows when you look at the improvement at the end of last year. These are the 3 cohorts of PLA schools. And what you can see, that even with this new cohort of schools, cohort 3, that was named today, the green indicates improvement in reading and math. So you can see that the teachers and principals have been working very, very hard at those schools, and they saw improvements at the end of last year. The other thing that I would be remiss if I didn't point out, that even though the PLA status is designated from reading and math, there are also other tested areas like science, social studies, and writing. And what this chart does, again with green meaning increases, shows that these schools had increases in science, social studies, and writing. And I point to the new schools that were just named today. They were showing increases in science and social studies also for last year. So what I want to do is point to, we know we have work to do, but also point to the improvements and the hard work of these principals and teachers and the improvements that are being made. So what does it mean for the short term? For the short term, this is something that the whole school system works to support. It's our job to support these schools in the short term to make sure they have what they need to continue the increases. But in the long term, what you know is happening this week is there's a curriculum management audit going on. And we have 25 external auditors who are in our system as we speak. They're visiting schools, they're looking at documents, and they're interviewing people. And they're looking at Jefferson County Public Schools system as a whole, as a system, about how everything we do is aligned to support schools and to lead to increased productivity, which for a school system is about learning. So that is in the long term what we're doing. The other thing that is happening is an organizational review to make sure that we have the structure at Central Services that again supports the schools and supports the learning and the students. So remember, it's always relative to how other schools do in Kentucky. So you always have to be, what you're trying to do is move out of that ranking. So enough is getting out of that ranking, but enough really is to make sure that every student is proficient. We're not satisfied with a low performance composite of proficiency. I mean, we want all of our students to have access to the opportunity that a great education has, and the opportunity to be successful. So we're not satisfied. We're not satisfied just not to have PLA schools. The schools that aren't labeled as PLA, we're working with them to improve. Every school in Jefferson County we're working with to improve.